Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Tex. It's been a minute since we have really done any fun videos, so I thought I would do a flight simulator video today. I've really been diving deep into Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, especially since some of the new recent add-ons have come out. Today we're going to be flying the Fenix A320. I also did get the PMDG Boeing 737-700. That's also a great add-on. Maybe we'll see about doing a video with that one as well, but today we're going to be flying the A320. I've traditionally been a Boeing man, but I have to say I'm falling in love with the Airbus. Really love the systems on the airplane, and in particular this Fenix A320. Incredibly modeled systems and failures and all that good stuff in the airplane. So for today's flight, we're sitting here at Kathmandu, which is in Nepal. It's right near Mount Everest in the Himalayan mountain range area. We're going to be doing a flight to Bhutan, I believe it's Paro. I'm probably butchering that. I don't know how you say it, but it's probably the most challenging approach especially for an aircraft like this to come in and land. It's a relatively short runway, and it's nestled in a mountain range in a valley, and you have to basically fly into the valley, and you are not established on final approach until you are basically about 100 feet above the ground. It's a very, very challenging approach, and I've only had one successful landing out of 3 there so far, so I have no idea how this video is going to turn out. All right, so let's hop over into, let's first jump into the cockpit here, and we're gonna do like a full flight here, and I'll put chapters in the video, so if you want to jump to a particular part of the flight. So we're gonna just hop in the cockpit here, and I want to give me just a second. So I also want to go over kind of like the flight plan. So let's go over here and take a look at this. Now, first of all, just looking at SkyVector, which is a free resource for aeronautical charts. This is a great way to kind of get started with aeronautical charts if you're new to flight sim. I use Navigraph, which is a subscription service. It's not too expensive, but it's definitely worth it. The ease of use and how it's all incorporated into the sim, you'll see that in a minute if you're new to flight sim and you really want to take your flight simming to the next level. So obviously we're here, the massive Himalayan mountain range here north of India. We're in Kathmandu, which is here in Nepal. Looks like the weather here is 170, the wind's 170 degrees at 4 knots, so not really too much wind. You got a few clouds at 15,000, scattered at 30,000. Broken, is that right? 30,000? Broken 100,000? Something about that doesn't read right, but 22 degrees Celsius is the temperature, and QNH 1007. So the airport we're going to be flying to is right over here. It's not a very long flight, really. It's about 45 minutes, about an hour-long flight to get there. And you can see that the airport here is, let's see, I thought that was it. Here it is right here. Nope, 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 that's not it. Where did it go? Let's see. Oh, it's over here, isn't it? Yeah, there it is. So you can see how the airport is nestled in the valley here, and we're going to be coming in runway 15. So that means we're going to be coming through the valley like let's see. I think you come in through this valley here, and then you come around this ridge right here, and then you have to make a quick left turn right onto final approach. It's a very challenging approach, but it's very, very very scenic, and obviously a really good challenging flight. So not sure if this is a good first flight to do coming back, but I think it'll be an interesting flight. So anyway, SkyVector, great resource if you want to kind of look at what the weather's like around the world, and if you want to try to find bad weather to fly in or good weather to fly in. Good place to get started. All right, so here's our flight plan. This is SimBrief. It's actually free to use SimBrief, but it's incorporated nicely with Navigraph if you do subscribe to Navigraph for your charting. So this is what the route looks like. You can see here, blow this up. You can see here leaving Kathmandu, we're going to be flying basically out here to the west, southwest, and then we're going to be heading up here to the, east, southeast, and then we're going to be heading up here to the northeast where the airport lies. And we're going to get more detailed routing whenever we get up our flight charts. Take a look at that in just a minute. Let's see what the winds look like for the flight. So it looks like we're going to have crosswind and kind of a tailwind coming in. So interesting. Might be a little bit of a tailwind landing. We'll see what the weather looks like there at the airport. But okay, so that looks good. So this is the route. We are doing the, I'm probably going to butcher these, the Igri 1D departure, and then we're doing the Subsu 1 arrival. Looks like we have a cruising altitude of 350 degrees. Alternate airport is just back to Kathmandu if we can't pull off a landing there. Time in the air here is 45 minutes, and block fuel is about 6 tons there. So let's pull up the actual flight plan here. We got a cost index of 18. We're going to use all this information to fill out our flight computer information. We got the block fuel here, 6 tons. Let's look at how many passengers we're actually taking today. So we're taking 123 passengers, 1.8 cargo. There's our block fuel 6, and then the routing is right here. So we're departing Kathmandu runway 02 with the Igris 1D departure, and then we're going to be coming into the Subsu 1 arrival into runway 15 at Paro there. So okay, that looks good. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into the sim and start getting things set up. I went ahead and I've already imported the flight into the simulator here. Really easy to do. So if you're using SimBrief and you generate your flight plan, all you have to do is just come in here and import your flight right into the plane, and it just makes things so much easier. So here's our flight plan. We're scheduled to depart in 31 minutes. Let's come over here and check the weather. So we've already seen this 170 degrees, 4 knots. Looks like several layers of clouds here, 22 degrees on the temperature, QNH 1007. Let's look at our arrival, METAR. No METAR available. I've seen that happen before. I think because it is actually nighttime over there. Obviously, it's on the other side of the world from where I'm at. So I'm having to fly this. This is not being flown in real time. We're sitting here at sunrise the upcoming day in Kathmandu, but we are using real-time weather. So the weather's real. However, it's currently nighttime over there, and maybe that has something to do with the reason that there is no METAR. So that will definitely throw a wrench into the flight here. So we'll just have to see what we can do with that. Okay, so let's go over here to ground services. So we've got the GPU, the power supply hooked up to the plane, chocks and cones are out. We got the doors open. We're ready to accept passengers. Before we do that, let's come up to the upper panel and start powering on the airplane. We're going to turn on batteries 1 and battery 2. And we have external power available. And let's get some lights in here so we can actually see something. There we go. All right, now that the plane has some power to it, let's come over to mass and balance. And what we're going to do here is go ahead. We're confirming that we have 123 passengers planned. Here's our planned cargo and our planned fuel, 6 tons there. It sounds like a lot of fuel for the flight, but I'll stick to what it's saying. So we're going to go to load aircraft, and we can go and do real time, 21 minutes. It's probably going to take us that long to discuss everything and get the flight all set up, so we'll go to real time board there. Okay, so that's started. Let's go back up to our upper panel here, and let's go through our workflow. A couple of things we need to do. Let's go ahead and turn on the crew oxygen supply. Those triple beeps there are telling us the computer is up. We can see that the screens are active here. So working back up here, we need to turn on the ground control here. This is just the flight recorder. It will automatically start recording audio whenever we get in the air, but we want to record the pre-flight audio as well, so you have to turn that on. Basically, the Airbus works in lights off kind of a mode here. So as you work through your panels, you essentially want to see all lights off. So forgive me, I am new to the Airbus, so I'm probably going to mess up a few things. So we need to come up here and turn on the iris on all 3 of these to nav. We go 1, 2, and 3, and that's going to take a minute to align. So we come back down here, so we work from bottom to top, and then we come to the middle part, go bottom to top, and the right part, bottom to top. So let's turn on some lights. Strobes can go to auto. Nav and logo can go on. Otherwise, lights here look good. Seatbelts stay off until fueling's complete. No smoking, go to auto. Emergency signs and doors can be armed. Let's see, we already got dome lights on. All this looks good. External power's on. Fuel pumps stay off until fueling is complete. So upper panel looks good. All right, so let's come down here. Let's go ahead and get the QNH set up again. Let's see. I think it was 10007. Let me double check that real quick. It's 1007. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and get that set up. There we go. We'll get this one set up for the co-pilot, and we'll get the backup set up as well. Perfect. All right, so that is done. Let's look down here. Rudder trim 0. Parking brake is set. Everything here looks good. We will go to auto on TCAS. And we're not going to be doing ATC today, so we won't be messing with radio frequencies, but if you fly in VATSIM, definitely adds another level of realism. We're going to keep it relatively simple in regards to that. Okay, let's hop down here to our McDo and go ahead and start getting this set up. So we're gonna file our flight plan here. We're gonna go to ATSU, AOC menu, flight initiation, and we're going to initiate data request. So we're basically just pulling in our flight plan that we've already uploaded in the tablet here into the flight computer. So we're going to go to init here, and we are going to init request for our flight plan. You'll see that it's going to load up Kathmandu to Paro here. There we go. And our alternate is back to Kathmandu. So our flight number for today is Bhutan BTN 522. Cost index and cruising altitude. I think it was 35,000 on the cruising altitude. Let's double check. So cost index is 18 and cruising altitude is in fact 350. So we've got an 18 cost index and 350 on the cruising altitude. Perfect. Clear those messages out. Clear. All right, so let's upload our wind. Let's request the wind there. For the flight, you can see we're going to have a climb wind automatically uploaded there and descent wind. Perfect. Okay, that looks good. All right, so let's see. Flight plan is next. So here is our departure airport, and then we have a couple of waypoints here. Let's just check these. So we have committee. You know what we can do is pull up our, so we don't have to keep going to the desktop. Let's see, I think you come up here. We can pull in our flight plan into the tablet here. Increases the level of immersion. Get everything in here. Perfect. Okay, so let's scroll down. Okay, here's our route. So we have that Everest 1D departure, and then we have committee, and the Bravo 345 airway to Tumli, I guess. The Golf 348 airway to Subsu, and then the Subsu 1 arrival into runway 15. Let's hop back over here. So there's committee to Tumli, and not sure what this waypoint is here. We'll double check that once we get the rest of the flight plan in. So let's go ahead and set up our departure out of Kathmandu. So we're going to go to departure. We're departing runway 02, and it's the Everest 1D. There's probably going to be a couple of them, so we're going to make sure we pick the right one. There it is. So you have 1C and 1D. Let's do the 1D there. And I think it's committee is the transition. It is. Perfect, and we can insert that. And then let's go ahead and set up our arrival as well. So we're coming in. So you really only have three choices. You have two RNAV approaches for runway 33, and then you have one RNAV approach for runway 15. So we're doing RNAV Zulu 15 here for our arrival, and we're doing the Subsu 1 arrival right there. And for the Vias, we're gonna do PR88, I believe it is. Let's verify that. So what we're gonna do is go over here to our iPad again, and we're gonna go ahead and pull up our flight charts so we can take a look at this, and we're gonna work this kind of backwards. Since we're already in the arrival, let's import here from SimBrief. Perfect. Go to our arrival airports, pull up the approach charts, and I think it was the Zulu, right? 15 Zulu. Yeah, RNAV Zulu 15. Perfect. Let's get rid of this, make this bigger. All right, so what you can see here is we're basically going to be coming in from right here. So here is our, this is our waypoint that we basically enter into the approach here. It's Papa Romeo 888. And you can see that we're going to be flying this path that comes in between the valley here, the mountains. It looks like right here at Papa Romeo 816, we have to be at 13,800 feet and a maximum of 145 knots. So basically this is telling me that when we get to this point right here, we need to be fully configured. We need to have our flaps fully extended, our landing gear down, because at this point we're going to be descending down into this valley, and it's a rather, it's a rather quick descent. We have to get down to a lower altitude relatively quickly, because as you come through the valley here, you still can't see the airport when you're right here in this area. You can actually draw on here. I forgot about that. Let's all right, so as you come through here, you're coming down, you're following the terrain around, and you still can't see the airport, right? You come around this ridge right here, and this is when you can actually start to see the airport. And the few times that I have done this approach, one thing that I've noticed is that the biggest thing that you have to do is really manage your speed. It's all about speed management. If you come in with too much speed and too much altitude, there's no way you're going to be able to make this landing. And I found that I want to be higher than I should be as I come around here. And you really need to be at the perfect altitude, fully configured, and basically at your approach speed well before you get to the airport, because at this point right here, when you come around this ridge, everything's going to happen extremely fast. So mandatory 13,800 feet here. Airport elevation is 7,364 feet. Let's see here. So right here, as we come around final approach, there's a high point here at 8,893 feet. So you can see it's a very tight, it's a very tight approach as we come in there. All right, so transition altitude is 18,000 feet. So I'm pretty familiar with that because that's pretty standard for us here in the U.S. When we cross this point here at Papa Romeo 816 at 13,800 feet, that's when we begin our RNAV descent here with a 3.5 degree arc coming down. So I still haven't gotten the autopilot to fly this completely accurately, so I might actually just hand fly this, but we'll see. We'll see if it works out today. And then let's look at our minimums here. So it looks like we have a minimum of 10,320 feet. And here is the go around. So we come in like this, and then if we have to go around, if we can't stick the landing here, we climb up out of the valley, and we follow the valley out here to Papa Romeo 777 at 16,000 feet. And then it looks like it has an arc circle here that we follow around, and that would just take us back to runway 33. Let's see. I'm not 100% sure I'm reading this correctly, because if we do this go around, I'm not sure how we would get back over to the approach. Let's see here. So this is the valley here. We come out like this, and then okay, so I think the arc is over here. Alright, so we come out like this, it comes around here. This is where we would turn. Yeah, okay, so this is where we would turn here to rejoin the approach coming in here. And so what is that altitude here? Let's see, what is that? $17,000 is the altitude at Papa Romeo 888 here. This is 15.2. It doesn't say, unless I'm missing it, I don't see a specific altitude constraint here. This says max 185, 15.2. So it looks like somewhere between 15 to 17 See, the highest point here is 12, so 15,000 seems about right. So in this approach, we're going to follow the valley out like this, and we're going to make this right turn here. Looks like there's another approach from a different waypoint here. We're going to make this right turn here to rejoin the approach around 15,000 feet as we descend back down to 13.8 through Papa Romeo 816 and try for another stab. So hopefully we don't have to do a go around, but that's what it looks like. So that's what the approach briefing looks like there. Let's go back over here, pull up our... So go ahead and star this. It's the Zulu. And here is the arrival. There's only one arrival. I guess we'll go ahead and star that. The arrival is really straightforward here. So here's the Subsu waypoint. We're going to be descending down to Papa Romeo 888, which is the entry waypoint to the approach that we saw at 17,000 feet and a maximum of 185 knots. So it's really going to be, again, about controlling your speed. Let's go over here and take a look at the departure really quickly, and then we'll finish setting up the flight computer. So we have ground charts. Let's favorite the, let's see, I think it's this one right here. Nope. There it is. So it's a relatively straightforward airport here at Kathmandu. So you can see we're parked here at gate 5. We're basically going to be pushed straight out, and then we're just going to take a left turn and head straight down the taxiway to the runway here, and then we'll have to get clearance to take off and then taxi back to this side of the runway, taking off runway 02 to the north. Okay, so that's our taxi departure, our taxi briefing. Let's take a look at the departure. So we're doing the egress 1C and 1D. So we're going to star that right there. And we'll take a look at this. Alright, so airport elevation here is 4,395 feet. Transition altitude is 13,500 feet. That's when we change our altimeters to standard. So we have confirming egress 1C and 1D departure here, runway 02. So it's an interesting departure here. You got Kathmandu is kind of nestled in between all of this terrain. So we're basically going to be taking off runway 02, which is kind of to the north here. We're going to be climbing up past Kilo Tango 414 and then to Kilo Tango 02. We're basically going to do this arc, right? We're going to have this climbing arc circle that kind of takes us out. We have to be at a minimum of 7,500 feet by the time we get to Kilo Tango 830 here. A wide arc extending out this direction and continuing to climb out as we exit the bowl here that Kathmandu sits in to the egress waypoint. And then as we continue out, we're going to be heading to Committee over here. So we pass the egress waypoint and then we head out east here to our final waypoint in the departure. So it's an interesting departure, not too difficult. The flight computer should be able to handle it just fine. So that's what that looks like. So we've got that starred, perfect, and I think that's all we need. So let's double check we've got all of our charts set up, perfect. All right, so let's go back over to our flight computer. So we are doing the RNAV Zulu 15 approach via Papa Romeo 888 and the Subsu 1 arrival. So we can insert that. And let's just verify everything looks good on the flight computer here. So what we can do is change this over to plan. And let's go to flight plan, and we're just going to go through each of the waypoints. You can see that basically here is our departure, and it looks like it's not going to do the arc. I believe the 1C is the arc, so that's what it is, because the last time I did this flight, I did the egress 1C, which basically has you do this whole arc. And then I guess the 1D, which we're going to do, is just basically a straight out departure. So we're not going to do the full arc. That'll probably save some time anyways if we don't do that. Okay, so the only thing that changes here with the 1D is that we're just going to take off and then head straight out like this and just skip doing the whole arc there. All right, so let's get back over here. So continue through our waypoints. There's Committee, and here is Subsu. All right, so there's Subsu. Let's zoom out on this so we can see the bigger picture, right? So here is, here we are at Kathmandu. We're gonna head out just like this and then head to the northeast, which is exactly what we saw on the flight planning here, right? So our flight plan that we filed matches up with what we're seeing here in the simulator. Let's zoom in a little bit here. All right, so here's Subsu. This is our arrival, and we'll continue through our waypoints. Let's zoom in a little bit more. So here's Papa Romeo 888. This is where we enter into the approach, going through the valley, through each of these Papa Romeo waypoints, curving around here to Papa Romeo 810, and then right into the runway, and then we have our go around waypoint set in there. Perfect. Okay, that looks good. All right, so our initial climb out for this is, we're going to put 7,500 for our initial climb out on the altitude. Okay, so altitude is set. QNH is all set. That all looks good. Let's go back over here. So we've briefed the departure and the arrival. Let's go back over here and check on the boarding process and see where we are there. Looks like we're just about boarded. All right, so we're just about ready to finish setting up everything up here. So we go to secondary flight plan, and what we're going to do here is just copy the active flight plan and just leave that sitting there. Rad nav, nothing really to do here. And then we've got our fuel, and we need to get set up over there. Sounds like boarding is now complete. It sure is. All right, so let's get our fuel set up. So we got 55.80 fuel weight and 30.1. So we got 55.8, 30.1 goes in there. And let's confirm for our block fuel for our trip here. All right, so block fuel is 6 tons, and we have 6 tons on board. So fuel checks. So we're just gonna put 6 tons in. Oh, it's already done it for us. Okay. No, that works too. So confirm 6 tons on board. That looks good. All right, and then let's see here. What am I forgetting? Oh, we need to. We're gonna have. But AOC, remember, we're gonna have some received messages here. We can actually go ahead and pull the weather here as well if we want to. So we're at VNKT. Perfect. METAR, yes. Send. Receive messages. Weather. And QNH here says 1008, so it's changed to 1008. So let's adjust that. That. And that. Perfect. All right. You can also do a checklist. So before start, cockpit prep completed, barrows are set, ACAR's initialized, parking brake is set, fuel's on board, that's checked, init B is loaded, flex temp, we need to do that. So let's go ahead and do our takeoff performance. It's the last step here. So we're taking off runway 02, it's dry, force toga no, anti-ice off, packs off. We could do a packs on takeoff, I think, really, here. I don't think that should be a problem. So we'll load sync the load sheet, sync the weather, and then we're going to calculate. So we need to get our takeoff performance metrics here. So V1 is 121, VR and V2 are 135, flex temp is 60. We're doing a flaps 1 takeoff. So 121, 135. So go to perf 121. 135, 135, And then we're doing flaps 1, flex temp 60, clean is 208. Checks. Flaps 1, flex temp is 60. All right, there's our takeoff performance data. We can leave that for now. Let's get up here and go ahead and start our APU and start getting things ready to go. So we're going to turn on the APU master switch, wait for 3 seconds, and then we can click the start button, and we'll just enjoy the startup here outside. That's awesome. All right. Let's get back to business here. All right, so APU is running. We need to let that run for just a second. Let's see what the temperature is anyways in here. I wonder if they're burning up in here. Yeah, it's a little warm, so we'll get some air conditioning going for them. Let's quick run through the systems here, make sure that everything looks good. Nothing in the red. Electrics look good. Hydraulics aren't on yet. Fuel, make sure we're balanced on the fuel. Okay, looks good. We are balanced on the fuel. APU is running. Condition we checked. Doors are all closed. Brake temperatures all look good. Perfect. All right, so that is done. Let's get over here. All right, so we're done here. We'll go to ground services. So we just need to remove the GPU, chocks and cones, connect the tug. Let's get back up here. Let's go ahead and turn on our fuel pumps. Let's see. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and turn on the beacon, let the ground crew know that we're fixing to start moving. Seatbelt signs can come on. We're gonna wait just a minute longer here on the APU bleed. Let's make sure everything else is set up down here. And I tend to forget this, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn on TCAS now. Normally you wouldn't do that just yet. We can go ahead and arm the ground spoilers. We'll hold off on the auto brake. I think that's it. I think we are ready to push. Let's go back over and just double check our checklist really quick. Okay, takeoff speeds are set, passenger signs are on, beacons on, transponders on, all doors are closed, and then we move to after start. We're going to make sure the ground equipment is removed. Anti-ice we won't need. Flaps, we'll make sure all that's configured. APU. All right, I think we're ready for startup. So let's go ahead and turn on APU bleed. Everything up here on the upper panel looks good. Let's come over here. Oh, nope, we got to turn off external power. All right, now we can come over here. We're going to go ahead and remove the GPU. Chocks and cones, and connect the tug. Perfect. They're starting to get some airflow through here. Sure, the passengers are appreciative of that. Turn on constraints here for our flight computer. You know, every time I've taken off from this airport, it's always looked like this, hazy and cloudy. So, all right, looks like the tug is just about connected here. There it is, tug is connected. All right, so let's, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna push straight back. We're not gonna worry about turning or anything. So tug is connected, parking brake is released. We'll go ahead and start the pushback, and we'll go ahead and start the engines and listen to these engines start up, starting with engine number 2. All right, we are started up. That sounds so cool. Love those engine sounds. I wish they were a little bit louder actually, but all right. So I put the flaps down while we were doing that. So flaps are set. Speed brake is armed. The engine start switch can now go to norm, and auto brakes go to max. All right, let's check our systems really quickly here. Actually, let's go ahead and turn off the APU bleed. We're going to turn off the APU in just a moment. Let's check the rest of our system. So, bleed, pressure, electrics looks good. Hydraulics online in the green looks good. Fuel we've checked. APU, condition, looks like it's more comfortable here now that the air is on. Again, doors are closed. Brake temps look good. And then flight controls. Quick flight control check here. Check the rudders, right, neutral, left, neutral, ailerons, right, neutral, left, neutral, and elevators, up, neutral, down, neutral. Perfect. All right, so flight controls check. Let's come over here. And let's go ahead and turn off the APU now. We don't need that. Let's turn on our taxi lights. We turn on the runway turn-off lights as well. And everything up here looks good. All lights are out. Tells me we are good to go. All right, let's go ahead and pull up our charts again. Again, the taxi is pretty straightforward, so we'll just leave our departure chart up here so we can reference that. Okay, just one last check here. I think we're good. Altitude set. Go ahead and turn off the parking brake. Let's go ahead and get out of here. So we're going to make a left turn and head straight out the taxiway over there. And we could do our takeoff config real quick here. Check. Takeoff config is checked. All right, here we go. So we're having a beautiful sunrise over the Himalayan mountain range for this flight, so it should be a really nice flight. The question is, what kind of weather are we going to have for our landing? That could be interesting. All right, so we have a message here. Let's return and check that real quick. It's just confirmation of our load sheet here. Everything checks here, so we're going to accept that, and we can build up our flight plan on that side. Perfect. Alright, looks like we're approaching runway 02 here for our taxi back to the end of the runway. Kathmandu Tower, Bhutan 522 at runway 02, ready for takeoff, departure to Paro. And we're going to say we've been cleared for takeoff. As I understand it, this airport is extremely busy, so it's not uncommon for aircraft to be stuck in holding patterns for long periods of time. We're going to go ahead and turn on our landing lights, strobes coming on. Look to the left, look to the right, looks like we're okay. Now I have noticed what I think might be a bug, because I can't figure out if I'm doing something wrong, but when I take off in the Fenix A320 here, as I'm rolling to basically V1 to rotate for takeoff, I notice that I get this landing inhibit message here on the shoot, I forgot what you call the screen here, but anyway, I noticed that I get a landing inhibit message, and then it's saying something like flaps config needs to be full. It's like it thinks it's landing instead of taking off. And then what happens is, as soon as I take off and I put the gear up, because I'm below 750 feet, it starts alarming, you know, saying that the gear's not down, basically. So don't be alarmed if you hear an alarm go off right after takeoff. It should go out pretty quickly. But I've kind of Googled around a little bit, and I haven't really been able to find an answer to that. So I don't know if I'm the only one having that problem, which makes me think that maybe I am doing something wrong. But I'll be darned if I can't figure it out yet. So if we can't get a 10 for 10 for the runway lineup here. 10 for 10. Perfect. All right, so takeoff checklist. Let's get over here. Let's check it real quick. Takeoff checklist. We didn't do after start, but APU's off. We don't need the yellow electric pump. Trims are set. Cabin doors are closed. ECAM stat. It's ECAM. That's what it's called. Before takeoff, flight controls are checked. TCAS is on. Departure is briefed. Takeoff data. FMA is set. Flaps are set. ECAM memo. No blue. And takeoff runway checked. Strobes are on. Packs, we're going to leave those on. And then we got after takeoff gear up. ECAM checked. Paro standard. That looks good. All right, let's get back to our departure chart here. So once again, we're going to take off runway 02, and we're basically just going to have a climbing right-hand turn out to Kilo Tango 820, it looks like here, and then just a straight out departure from there. So really straightforward, not having to do the whole arc there. Okay, so I'm going to hold the toe brakes. I'm going to spool it up to 50%. All right, here we go. Some down pressure on the stick until we get to 80 knots. Okay, there's 80 knots. V1 and rotate. Okay, positive rate of climb. Gears coming up. And we're just going to follow the flight director around the turn here. Oh, we actually didn't get the alarm. I'm surprised. Turning just a little bit early here. Pulling throttles back to the climb detent. There we go. Looks like I'm turning just a little bit too early here. Let's get that back on the flight director. We're already up at 7,500 feet. Okay, we're going to say that ATC has gone ahead and cleared us up to our cruising altitude. Get 35 dialed in here. Managed climb. There we go. Flaps can come up. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on the autopilot so we can enjoy some views here. So autopilot is on. Make sure that it catches here. Alright, let's look out the wing. So the city down there behind us. turn it down so we can hop outside the plane here. Beautiful, man. Look at those clouds. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Alright, so we're going to hop back into the cockpit here and make sure that everything is kosher. Turn it down just a little bit. Alright, so we're climbing up through 10,000 feet, so lights can come off in a minute, and we'll have to double check. I think the transition altitude was like 13.5 or something like that, so we're continuing this turn here. Let's look at our chart. So you can see, yeah, here we come right here. We're continuing this turn toward Everest right there, and transition altitude is 13.5. Alright, so we're almost at 13.5, but we can go ahead and turn off our lights, our landing lights here. We're over 10,000 feet. That can come off, and that can go off as well. All of that looks good. Seatbelts stay on for right now. Heading into the clouds. Let's double check our temperatures, make sure that we don't need anti-ice. No, we're good. We're good on temperatures. Okay, so we can disarm the ground spoilers now, and seatbelts will stay on. So we're looking for 13.5 here on the altitude. That's our transition altitude. We're going to switch our altimeters here to standard. Coming up pretty quick through 13.5. Go ahead and zoom out here. Looks like we're done on our constraints, so let's switch over to airports just in case we need to divert. Okay, we're close enough to 13.5. Let's go ahead and go to standard on our altimeters and on the backup as well. Alright, now we'll just enjoy the climb up here, and we'll leave the seatbelts on until we get just a little bit higher, get up to our cruising altitude here. Cruising altitude 350 is set. Man, look at the clouds today. Just beautiful, huh? Just beautiful. Loving it. So you can see here we are coming out of our departure. Still a little bit further to go. Zoom out on this as we head over here to committee. So we'll be able to see Mount Everest over on the left side of the aircraft. Hopefully, if it's not completely socked in with clouds. That'll be kind of cool to see. Let's do our after takeoff checklist really quickly here. So after takeoff, landing gear is up, ECAM is checked, Paro is set to standard. So everything after takeoff checklist is complete. Let's go back over here to our charts. Nothing really to do until we get up to our cruising altitude. We'll continue to just enjoy the views here for a minute. Look at that mountain range. Really impressive mountain range. I have never seen it in real life. It's definitely a bucket list though. I'd love to see it. Another place I'd really love to visit is South America. do the whole Machu Picchu, Peru, and then head down and see Tierra del Fuego. Really fun times. All right, passing 21,000 feet. I believe Mount Everest is right over here. That might be it right there. It's hard to see with all the clouds. Look at these clouds. I mean, it looks like there's a storm right here. So hopefully we see our route. Ooh, we might be turning right into that puppy. So we'll have to see what happens there. Yeah, just beautiful, man. Check our temperatures again here. We're okay. Don't have to worry about icing. So definitely recommend you get wing views set up, custom views set up. So what I do is I use the numpad. You can set up 10 custom views, custom cockpit views. If you go to your key bindings in the settings, you can actually set up like 10 custom views, and I use the numpad. So like the number 1 key on the numpad takes me to this view. The number 4 key takes me to a back wing view, because those are on the left side of the numpad. And then if I go to the 3 key, it takes me to the right wing, I guess the right engine view. And then the 6 key takes me to the right wing view. 0 key takes me back to the cockpit. The 2 key is like the old man view. Zooms in really high here to see all the details on our displays. 5 takes me down to my flight computer here, and 8 takes me up here to the upper panel. So let's keep an eye out here. Let's hop out the plane for a second. Let's turn the volume down so it doesn't blast your eardrums. It's really hard to see, so I'm not really sure, but I think Mount Everest might be that mountain right there. Can't see through the clouds here. Okay, I apologize. I don't know if the volume was being turned down or not, but I just manually turned it down on the screen recording, so hopefully it's not too loud for you now. But I think that's Mount Everest right there, that peak. I believe that's Mount Everest. It's just, again, it's just really hard to see around the clouds. As I understand it, it's not uncommon at all to have obstructed views, I should say, of the mountain because of the cloud cover around here. But look at the difference in the elevation off our right wing compared to the left wing. It's impressive. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that peak right there is Mount Everest. That's what it looks like. Yeah, that definitely looks like Mount Everest. Alright, so let's take a look. Looks like we've already exited our departure, so we can go ahead and get rid of that. Let's look at our flight route. So 266 nautical miles today. Here you can see our departure out of Kathmandu, heading to the east. Then we're going to take a turn to the southeast and then up to the northeast into Paro. So hopefully, I checked the airport before I started the flight at the airport, and there was cloud cover up high at the peaks, but down at the airport it was clear. So hopefully it stays like that for us. Because as I understand it on this approach, when they're passing down, when they make that last pass down through 13,000 feet, they have to have VFR conditions. They can't be in the clouds. If they are still in the clouds at that I think it's 13,800 foot point, then they have to divert. And as I understand it, sometimes they'll divert to another airport, I guess nearby there, and then see if things improve, if they can get in a little bit later. If not, then I would assume the divert airport would probably be back to Kathmandu, which is what we're going to do today. Well, that's a shame. We didn't really get a great view of Mount Everest there, but I believe that was it that I had pointed out. So it looks like we're almost up to our cruising altitude. We can go and turn off the seatbelt sign. There we go. Let everyone know that we're up at our cruising altitude. Everything looks good. So not much to do now, but just sit back and enjoy the flight. Let's look at this really quickly. Let's zoom out on this so we can see everything. There we go. Alright, so our top of descent, when we're actually going to start our descent, is right here at this waypoint before we turn in towards Subsu. So really not much to do until we get close to our top of descent. We'll just kind of enjoy some views here for a minute, and then we'll come back to brief the approach and get the flight computer set up with our destination data. All right, so we're getting close to the point where we should start briefing the approach and everything. Before we do, real quick, I just want to show you guys this. I'm working on a South American tour. I actually started out and I flew a combination of the PMDG 737-700 and this Fenix A320 aircraft. I started out at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I flew to Cancun, and then I flew down here to Honduras, and then I did actually fly to Panama City. I forgot to put that in there. I landed at Panama City Airport here, and then I had a short flight over here to Bogota, Colombia, and then I went from Bogota, Colombia to Ecuador, and then down to Cusco, Peru, which is basically like the airport you would fly into if you were going to go to Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is right there in that area. And then I had a long leg from Cusco, Peru, all the way down to Santiago, Chile. You can see that was like 1,230 miles. Then from there all the way down here to Ushuaia, I guess is how you'd say that, Argentina, the very tip of South America here. This whole like area here is called Tierra del Fuego. This is also, this city here is also kind of like a jumping off point for people heading down to Antarctica. So that was a really awesome flight. Really love it down here. Just absolutely beautiful. Then a really short flight, 278 miles from there to Puerto Natales. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering that. It's in Chile. It's basically right near the Patagonia. Really distinguishable mountain peaks in that area. Just a beautiful flight there as well. Then I flew up to this airport here, Comodoro Rivadavia. Again, probably butchering that. I apologize. And then I have already completed these two legs. I just haven't updated this image. But from there, I went to Buenos Aires, Argentina, and then from Buenos Aires to Rio de Janeiro. From there, I'm thinking about hopping up to an airport somewhere in this area. It's in the rainforest, but apparently there is some airport here that like Airbus A320s land at sometimes. It's probably a small airport. That'll be interesting. And then from there, we're going to hop up here and do the island chain, completing the loop. So you see, you know, again, I've already flown these two legs. So it was 6,770 nautical miles flown to this point. So really fun flight that I've been kind of working on. So anyway, let's hop back into the flight here. Take a look at this. We're getting close to our top of descent here, so let's very quickly let's go ahead and do an approach briefing here. So let's pull up our charts. So again, the arrival is pretty straightforward here. We're just coming in at subsu, descending down to 17,000 feet at a maximum of 185 knots at Papa Romeo 888. I'm probably going to start my descent just a little bit before the top of descent because I found that, yeah, again, speed management is just really key to this approach, and I'd rather come in slow ahead of time than have to, you know, lose too much speed while also descending down into the valley. So we really don't need this departure, this arrival chart up here. The only thing that I would mention though is here it says transition level is basically set by ATC. So there's no definitive transition level where we would switch our altimeters from standard to whatever the current barometric reading is. And the other thing is that last time I checked, there was no weather available for this airport, which can happen, I guess, when you're flying into, yeah, see, no METAR available, I guess because they're all asleep. So that's not really very helpful. So what I think I'm going to do, and it's not ideal, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to the barometric reading that Kathmandu is at, and then leave these on standard. So we're actually approaching our top of descent now. So let's go ahead and start that descent. Let's pull up our charts again here. So we're going to be descending down to 17,000 to begin with. So let's put in 17,000. Oops, too far. And manage descent. It looks like we got it just in time, actually, so we didn't really start our descent early there. Let's go ahead and alert the cabin crew and the passengers. Turn on the seatbelt signs. Alright, now the work begins. Here comes the fun part. Pull up constraints there. And let's just go ahead and set this at 10:08. Perfect. Alright, that's what the QNH was at Kathmandu. It could be different here, but I'm not sure since we don't have weather data. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up our approach plate here because we really don't need the arrival plate. The approach plate's going to be coming up very quickly here. Let's zoom in on this part. So transition altitude here is 18,000 feet. So that's what we're going to go by. But again, we're going to be leaving our altimeters on standard, not having the QNH. All right, so we need to set up our destination data in the FMS. So let's come over here and see it's telling us to insert that in. Let's go to next phase, and again, we don't have QNH, so we're just going to use the 10:08 from Kathmandu, which is not ideal. And the temperature at Kathmandu was, I forget, let's go back over here. It's going to be different too. Yeah, it's just not ideal all around. It's going to be at a higher altitude, so it's probably going to be a lower temperature. Man, I hate this, but we're just going to have to use what we have. So Kathmandu was 22. So I guess that's what we're going to put in the box, 22. Should do this flight whenever it's actually daytime over here. Maybe there would be some METAR data. Okay, so we need to get the minimums. Let's go back over here. So the minimums for us is 10,320. Alright, so that goes in the box, and we are set there. Let's go flight plan over here. Let's double check that all of our constraints can be met. So 185 speed constraint, 20,600, 17,865 feet. The magenta color star tells me that the airplane believes that it can meet these constraints. If they were like an amber color, then it would be telling me that it wouldn't be able to meet those altitude or speed constraints. So everything looks good there, and then over here we'll leave this perf data, and then there. So now let's do our runway landing calculations here. Okay, so we're landing runway 15. We're going to assume it's dry. We don't have any METAR data. I wonder if it's going to do these calculations without the METAR data. Let's just see here. So our landing weight, let's see, our weight right now is 60.1, so we're probably going to be pretty close to that. So we'll just put that in here. Yeah, it's not going to calculate it without the METAR. So let's go back over and get our winds from here. So the winds were 180 at 4 knots, 22 degrees. 180, 4 knots, 22 degrees. And it was 1008. There we go. Alright, so we're going to do medium brake, full reverse thrust, flaps full. Looks like we need basically every inch of the runway. It's going to be interesting, guys. I seriously don't know if I'm going to be able to stick this landing or not. So, we will see. We will see. Alright, so our constraints here is 17,185 knots. I don't know if we're going to make that. I'm going to start putting some drag on the plane. And I am going to take over some manual control here of the speed. Let's get this down to 230. That way we can go ahead and put some flaps out. So according to this little green dot right here, we want that to be right here in the middle. If it was down here, then it would mean that we were high, and we need to nose down more to catch it. If it was up here, it would mean that we were low. So according to this, since I put the speed brakes out, it looks like it's come back up, and it looks like it's going to make the constraint. We have 11 miles to go. We're supposed to be around 17,000 feet there, 185 knots. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, let's do our approach checklist really quickly. All right, so ECAM status checked. We have approach type and runway checked. Approach phase active. It's a little early to do that just yet. And then Baro ref. And we landing auto brake. Misapproach ECAM memo. Okay. All right. Okay, we're just about at our speed that I'm wanting here, so I'm going to go ahead and raise the speed brakes. I'm going to dial this back to 220 actually, so I can safely put out that first notch of flaps here. Speed brakes. Alright, so one notch of flaps is coming out. And let's go ahead and turn on our lights. I think that's good. Oh, I had the taxi lights on still. Oops. We don't need those yet. Those are on the nose wheel, and that's up in the plane at the moment, so that all looks good. Alright, so I'm going to focus up here. Let's get back over here and pull up our approach plate. So we should see our arrow appearing here shortly at Papa Romeo 888. We need to actually be slowing down. We're supposed to be 185 knots right there. Set at 180. Speed brakes. I feel like I'm behind the airplane here, and it's not a good place to be. Always want to be ahead of the airplane, so we're going to try to get our speed slowed down here and get another notch of flaps out. So we got 5.8 miles to the next waypoint, which is 15,200 feet on the constraint there. Let's look at the clouds. It's pretty socked in here, so this is going to be interesting. I checked the airport, and the airport did not have clouds down at the ground level, so hopefully we can continue with this approach. Zoom in. Okay, so the airplane is following the approach nicely here. Really nerve-wracking heading into these mountains here. Alright, so almost to 200 knots. I can put out another notch of flaps here, start getting the speed under control. We're definitely coming in too fast, so second notch of flaps is out. I'm going to leave the speed brakes out for now. This is flashing standard, so we're through the transition altitude. You know what? I'm going to do that backwards. I'm going to leave this on standard, and I'm going to put these on 1008. There we go. Let's bring our speed down some more. 160 seems good. Okay, speed brakes coming up. Alright, I think we're on top of the airplane now. We need to be down at 13.8. Our speed is okay, 160 knots. 13.8. There's no specific speed constraints here until we get to Papa Romeo 816. We're supposed to be 145 knots at 13,800 feet. Why is this thing... Oh, shoot. I didn't set the altitude. That's why. My bad. Just when I got ahead of the airplane. So 13.8. We need to set it at 13.8. There we go. Yeah, that was a bad oversight on my part, man. I forgot to set the altitude at 13.8, and we're sitting there flying level instead of coming down to meet this constraint. So it looks like we are going to reach 13,800 feet right here. But that's okay, because basically we're flying... This is 13.8 speed. I'm sorry, altitude constraint here. So we're going to get down to 13,800 feet in time, and then we should have plenty of time to slow down to 145 knots. So let's let it continue the descent here, and then we're going to start getting the airplane slowed down. See it here. Looks good. It looks good. I think we're okay cloud-wise. Beautiful. Yeah, I think we're okay. I think we should have. All right, so we're heading into some obviously terrain around this airport here. So we're going to turn off the terrain ahead. Pull up. The terrain notification system there. It's pretty standard operating procedure. We're going to bring our speed back down to 145 now because we're at 13.8. Let's arm approach mode. Let's go with a third notch of flaps here. Okay, so this high point right here, you can see this altitude, 13,636 feet. So we're literally going to be passing like almost 200 feet right above that. So we have to stay at 13,800 feet to get over this high point here, and then we have a quick descent down into the valley and landing at the airport. Alright, we're almost there. And now the hard part, let's see if we can stick this landing. This will be fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and go gear down. So we go in with our final notch of flaps. Let's check our perf data. It is flaps, full flaps, 141. So we're going to go 143 on the speed here. One more notch of flaps. Full flaps are set. Okay, we're going to arm the speed brake. Auto brakes go to medium. And it's not descending, so I'm going to have to take over manual control and continue the descent down here. See the green dot? I need to capture that. Alright, time to focus now. I have to go speed brakes out. Wow, these clouds are right down into the valley here, aren't they? This could be a problem. I'm still VFR, so I can still see. We're gonna have to manually fly this puppy in. Okay, so landing checklist. Landing gear is down, flaps extended, using the speed brake. That will be armed in a minute. Auto brakes are set to medium. Auto throttle's on. Landing checklist complete. I am high. I'm definitely high here. This is not good. This is not good at all. Oh boy. We're gonna have to see if we can't get the speed under control here. We're coming in extremely fast. I've got spoilers fully extended here. I don't know if we're gonna make this landing. Got it. Speed brake check. I need the speed brake still. Alright, so I'm gonna have visual. Speed brake's up. Speed brake armed. Alright. There's the runway.
Forty, 30, 20, retard.
Oh, float, 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 float.
Five.
Get down. Oh, first thrusters. Oh man, we did it. Not the prettiest approach, but man, 70 knots. Reverse thrusters off. Manual braking. Holy cow. And I totally forgot to start the flight recorder. Dang it. So we could watch the landing. That's a shame. Shoot. Whew, man, I can't believe I did it. Alright, speed brake up. Flaps up. Clean the airplane up. Oh, jeez Louise. My heart's literally racing, guys. That is just scary, scary approach. Alright, let's turn it around here. Taxi back. Look at that. Don't roll off the end of that runway. Jeez Louise. Wow, sir. What an approach. Man, that's scary. Let's go ahead and start the APU. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000. Start. Terrain. Come back on. Whew, gosh. Not lying, guys. Literally, I am breathing heavy. My heart racing. My hands are shaking. God, that's scary. I did not want to go around, so that was a scary, scary approach. But we made it. We landed. Cannot believe it. That's only the second successful landing out of 4 now. So 50-50 there. Literally, like you can see what I was saying, you have to come around that ridge up there, so you're not really fully aligned and everything on final until you're 100 feet above the ground. So a little bit of a float out there, but ended up having plenty of runway, so all's well that ends well. But that approach, we came in too high, even though I had approach armed, which is still on. We can turn that off. Flight directors can come off, but yeah, even though I had approach armed, it wasn't descending. You know, it wasn't descending when it was supposed to. So we immediately fell behind the airplane, and we had to play catch up through that whole descent through the valley. So it was a lot of room for improvement, but I'd say it was at least we landed in one piece. And this time I didn't crash the airplane. Okay, so landing lights coming off. Strobes come off. APU bleed can come on. Oh, brakes are hot. Looks like the guys up there guiding us in. Should have turned on track IR. I forgot to do that before I loaded the sim today. Okay. Alright, guys. Let's get the plane shut down and call it a wrap. Parking brake is set. Upper panel, we can turn off the beacon. Those can stay on. APU's on. Seatbelts can come off. Looks good, and we can go ahead and shut down the engine. So we'll go 1 and 2. Alright, how cool is that? So we can start the deboarding process. Let's go back over here to the Fenix app and ground services. I'm gonna open the door, bring in the stairs. GPU's connected. Let's go ahead and go to ground power here. We'll leave the AC on there. That can go off. Unarmed. Strobes go off. Nav can stay on. All our lights are off there. Down here, chocks and cones are set. Yes, they are, so we can take off the parking brake and let the brakes cool. I think we're good. Alright, guys. We have made it. I hope you enjoyed the flight. Like I said, I know it's been a minute. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. I have some ideas for some future flights that we could do if you guys are interested. Maybe even do a live stream. I think that could be fun, a little bit more interactive for you guys to enjoy. But I do appreciate it, as always, guys. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks a lot. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.